Hi besties, welcome back to a brand new video. So today is the first Sunday of July. Happy 4th of July, by the way. And during the month of July, I'm doing a series of videos on my channel featuring some of my friends or just me talking about recruitment at the University of Alabama and all the tips and tricks that I have to share with you for how to get ready for your recruitment experience in August. So I really hope that these videos will be helpful to some of you, and that if you're rushing, it'll be a good opportunity for you to ask questions in the comments below, and I'll answer as many of them as I possibly can, and just get to know kind of a little bit about how I rushed and what information I had going in. I was the first person in my family to go through sorority recruitment. My older sister was in Alpha Delta Chi, which is the Christian sorority on campus, but she did not go through like formal rush process. She went through their rush process. And so definitely I kind of went in a bit blind. So I figured that if you are anything like me and you don't have a lot of experience, this video may be helpful to you. So in this video, I'm going over social resumes, your resume that you send out, your transcript and grades, how those matter, and then how to pick your headshot, and lastly, how to find and get rec letters and make sure that they're actually good. So if any of this sounds like something that you're interested in, keep watching. Okay, so to this side of the screen, I'm just gonna pop up my social resume so y'all can see it while I talk about it. So I have a few things on my social resume that I really want to touch on. And the first thing is, let's start with the header. So I think that the header of your social resume should reflect your personality. Definitely your social resume is where you get to show how creative, how fun you can be. If you're good at PR, if you're good at marketing yourself, like your Instagram, then your social resume is, your social resume is definitely the place to show just like what you've been up to and who you are in a nutshell. Definitely you want to show off what you've done and who you are, and you can definitely do that through designs. They sell social resume templates online. I personally found a free one that I liked and then customized it to fit kind of what I wanted. But definitely you can make your own. You can use a social resume template. You can go on Canva and make your social resume that way. The main thing is just that it shows who you are, what you've done, and what you have to offer. So definitely only list things that you're comfortable sharing and talking about, but also list things that you enjoyed and had fun with, even if they weren't necessarily the main thing that you were involved in. Also, don't be ashamed of who you are. You don't want a house that doesn't want you, and you really don't want to be in a sorority with people that aren't like you. So at the end of the day, like, be who you are, show who you are, and you'll be fine. Like, sororities are looking for people that complement the type of person they already have in their house. They're not looking to completely like shift the culture and personality of their house. And so as long as you like have your personality showing on your social resume and it kind of tells a little bit about who you are, you're likely going to find that you're talking to people who you enjoy talking to, and you're talking to people who you pair up well with. Also, talk about your interests even if they're new. So you may notice on my social resume that I mentioned that I have been doing swimming, and that's just marked as like a grade 12 thing. I started swimming the summer before my senior year, and it was something that I really enjoyed and planned on continuing in college. So that's another thing. If you plan to continue something in college, like, talk about it. Put it on your social resume, talk about it when you're in a house, because those are the things that really help you find your home in a house. Like, I have tons of friends within Theta that have either done the club swim team or have gone swimming with me, or just like have done something related to swimming or art or any of the other interests that I put on my social resume. And that interest section is really where you get to show, who am I, what do I have to offer, what am I hoping to be involved in, am I going to be an involved member on campus, and just stuff like that. So even though swimming was new to me, and even though it wasn't something that I had ever done like at an actual school, it was something that I was really interested in, and so I listed it as an interest because it was an important part of where I was at that moment. And now, as you can see from my channel, I'm still involved in this club swim team. I'm actually fundraising chair, and so that can often be a good way of letting a sorority know, hey, here's what I plan to be involved in college, and here's what I'm going to have to offer you. So the next thing that I want to touch on is your resume tips. So I sent my actual resume to the people that were writing my recommendation letters, And I sent things like my YouTube videos and like my senior recital, which you can find on my channel, and just anything like that that kind of gave a picture of who like I am or who I was at that time. I sent stuff like that to the people writing my recommendation letters, so that they could sense my personality. But like your resume should highlight your scholarships, it should highlight any awards you've gotten. So like mine highlights obviously that I was National Merit, it highlights that I received a National Merit Scholarship and then also received UA's National Merit Scholarship, and then it highlights things like the singing awards I got, some of the singing achievements I had, such as making state a couple times. And so like you really just want to show what makes you stand out. So whether that is music or sports or art or dancing or anything like that, if it makes you stand out and if it makes you who you are, you really want to make sure that your resume is showing that. So at the time I made my resume and was applying to Rush and all of those things, I was for the first portion I was debating whether or not I wanted to be a music major with accounting, and so I had a ton of music stuff on my resume because that's what I was planning on doing. So when I switched to art, I was like, oh no, like my resume doesn't really have anything that's like art related on my like my achievements or anything. That's okay. Like at the end of the day, you're a multifaceted person and you don't have to just show one thing that you're interested in. But if you are primarily interested in one thing and you don't end up continuing it in college, you can still talk a lot about how you were involved in high school and how you plan on translating those skills and those things that you learned and the things that you enjoyed into clubs and organizations on campus. So leadership is really an important part of your resume, no matter how small a role you had. So I emphasize things like how I was a creative director for my school student government, which wasn't even in a official position. It was just a position that was given to me because I really enjoyed art, and so I helped them with any art projects they had. I was the only one who did it, so it was a small leadership role, but it was something. And I was chaplain and I was historian, which is like some other things in my student government, and none of those were like main roles, but they were still something that I was doing that was involved, and that was leadership. So I really recommend emphasizing any leadership experience you have, even if it's really small. And then lastly, service is a really good way to show what you're passionate in. So service for me was a way to show like, here is where I maybe align with this house's values, and maybe I like have something that I've done service related wise that lines up with what a house's philanthropy is. And that's a really good way to say, like, let's say you really enjoy, if you're a sophomore, you've been doing Beat Auburn, Beat Hunger, or you've been doing Dance Marathon. That's a really good way to say to a sorority, I'm involved in these things, and this is kind of what I'm already involved with service-wise, and so I can't wait to add on the things that you have service-wise to do and offer. Sorry, I'm just referencing a list of notes that I wrote earlier to make sure I touch on everything. So if you see me looking to the side, that's what I'm doing. Okay, next let's talk about transcripts. Touchy subject, I know, because for some people their transcripts are the things that they think might not get them a house, and that is complicated. But I recommend sending your transcript to the people writing your letters. Your grades are important, but they aren't everything. And if someone sees your transcript and sees that, oh, you took a class on this subject that you're really interested in, or you did really well in these classes that are pertaining to your major, they can emphasize those things in your recommendation letter, and sororities can notice those things from your transcript. And even if you don't have the highest GPA, a lot of times if your personality is really good and really friendly and a house really likes you, they're going to overlook your GPA in order to get a girl that they think would fit in really well with their house. I would say that probably 7 times out of 10, maybe even more, a house is going to take a girl that they think will fit in over one that has like the best grades. No one really cares about your algebra grade. Like, if you were not a math person, that's okay. A lot of people are not math people. Like, my algebra grade was probably one of the lowest grades on my transcript, maybe Latin, I don't know. But like, no one cares about your 8th grade algebra grade. They're looking at how have you done recently. If your GPA recently has been really high and like your senior year you showed that, hey, I really got my act together and I really started stepping up, then like that's what sororities are going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at the big picture. They're not just looking at, okay, well in this one class she had a B or a C or a D or a low A or whatever. They're not looking at that. They're looking at, who is she? Do we think she's going to do well in college? Do we think that she's going to stay in college? That's kind of the main things that they care about. And like I said, an amazing personality can make up for your academics. So don't lose hope. I know like they put out that thing that says average houses a girl gets back based off of your GPA. I had a 4.0 and I did not get a full roster any point during the week. So like, even if you have a 4.0, it doesn't necessarily determine how your rush is going to go. And even if you have a 2.5, that doesn't really determine how your rush is going to go either. At the end of the day, your transcript is one part of who you are, and your personality and what you have to offer a sorority and just what a sorority is looking for is going to make up a much larger portion of the like points that a sorority gives you than your transcript. Okay, so fun. Headshots. Let's talk about headshots. So firstly, my first tip is show your eyes. Make sure that if you wear glasses like me, your eyes are visible, they're clear. Your eyes are, like they say, the window to the soul. So I think it's really important to show your eyes when you are sending in your headshot. Also, do a nice photo, not a photo you'd post on Snapchat. Don't do a selfie. Don't do something where you look like you just woke up and rolled out of bed. If you're going to send in a headshot, send in one of your senior photos or send in something that you took specifically for Rush. It can be a photo that shows your personality. Like if you are an artist, it can be a photo you took with like an art piece, or if you are a dancer, it can be a dance headshot. Like, it just needs to look professional and look like you. Like at the end of the day, you just need to make sure that your makeup is nice if you choose to wear any, and that the clothes you're wearing are flattering, and also that they are modest. That's a really big thing. Don't like send in a headshot where you're wearing a bikini. That would be a little weird. But also your headshot should be as current as possible. So like right now on my LinkedIn, I have a senior photo and I'm going into my senior year of college. Like, don't do that. Do a photo that you like have recently taken, or if you don't have one, maybe consider taking a new one. Also, I have friends who didn't send in any of this stuff and still are in my sorority. So take all this with a grain of salt. At a certain point, even if things aren't perfect, you can still get into a sorority. But I will say, sometimes your headshot is your first impression. So you aren't chosen based on looks. You get matched. You typically get matched, at least in my sorority, on your hometown and major. And so if you don't have a headshot or you do have a headshot, that doesn't affect how you get matched. But when the girl who you got matched with sees your card, it's going to have your headshot on it. So a lot of times her first impression is just going to be your major, your hometown, and your headshot. So you want to make sure that they know like who you are and what you look like, and that it's at least a good photo that you like of yourself. Don't send in a photo that you don't feel confident in, because that sometimes can like portray through the photo. Make sure you send in something that you are confident in and with. Okay, so lastly, let's talk about rec letters. Rec letters were really hard for me to find, particularly for some of the houses that are more southern. Sorry, fish is chewing on a box. Particularly for some houses that were more southern and not so much based out of Texas, which I know Texas is the South, but it's kind of also the Southwest. So it's a little different. He's literally biting a hole in the box. But yes, so rec letters were a little hard for me to find for a few houses, but I do have some tips for what you can do to find rec letters, and definitely get on these as quickly as possible, because a lot of alumni associations will not write you a rec letter if they don't have time to meet you in person. So firstly, what I would do is I would reach out on Facebook and find as many as you can from your own friends, your own family, or your own, like, your friends and families, like relatives or acquaintances. So that's definitely the way I found the majority of my rec letters, and I highly recommend that, because as people who know you are writing your rec letters, it often means a lot more than someone from an alumni association or just someone who like randomly commented on your Facebook post and said, yeah, sure, I'll write a rec letter. And then secondly, I would say ask in the Rush group me and see how many rec letters and friends you can find. So like I found, for example, Sigma Kappa, my rec letter through the Rush group me, and that girl is actually now in my sorority. Her mom wrote me a rec letter. And so, like, you never know, like, there are people whose parents rushed or who are just like legacies, I think, yeah, legacies of different houses, and they may be willing to have their parents write you a rec letter, and you never know, sometimes they could end up in the same house as you, and it's nice to see a familiar face and say, oh hey, your mom wrote me a rec letter. Also, you can still have an amazing recruitment with no rec letters. My friend Lily, for example, had no rec letters, no video for virtual recruitment, didn't buy any outfits, did her rush in a hotel room, like, still ended up in a sorority where she's happy and has, like, I think amazing friends. But just like at the end of the day, your rec letters are like best to have written by people that you've met at least once, so they like kind of know you. But at the end of the day, if you can't find a rec letter for a house, it's not the end of the world. Like, it is not going to make or break your recruitment experience. It's not going to absolutely destroy your chances of getting into the house of your dreams. Like, some sororities now aren't even really considering recommendations, or if they are, they're allowing you to get them from anyone. Like, I know Theta nationally now has a policy where anyone can write you a recommendation letter, whether that's like an advisor, a coach, or just like someone who knows you really well. And I think a lot of sororities are moving on to that process. And so definitely, if you don't have a rec letter, don't stress about it. Okay, so I really hope that those tips were at least a little helpful. Definitely, like, doing your research before rush is sometimes a way that you can like calm your nerves, but also at the end of the day, your rush experience is going to go how it goes, and you're going to find the house that you fit best in. And if you end up with a house that you don't think you fit best in, give it a chance, because you never know. And at the end of the day, like, sometimes what you think you will like find in college is different than what you actually find, and what you actually find can be even better. So, but I hope that this video was helpful for those of you who are looking to make your social resume or figure out like how do my grades affect rush or anything like that. And come back next week and I will have another recruitment themed video. So yeah, if you like this video, give it a like and subscribe down below. Don't bother turning on notifications because I post every Sunday at some point, so you know, it's never at the same time. But I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your week. Bye!
Sounds cliche, but it's true. I've been missing someone like you. I've had my share of